And welcome to another episode of Expert Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today I'm talking with Nathan Turner. Nathan, thanks for spending some time with me today.
I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
You are welcome. It's going to be a fun conversation because Nathan does something that I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody on. It's well, it's passive aggressive real estate investing. No, it's passive investing in real estate, but a different way. And when
Right.
I read it and I thought about it, I'm like, oh, this is unique. So we're going to be talking about this, how to, as I frame it, how to be like a bank without being a landlord. And so, Nathan, as we dive into the deep end of that pool, tell me, I mean, how in the world did you get doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. So here's a fun one for you. And I don't know who coined the term, but we like to call ourselves lean lords, not landlords.
Lean lords, not landlords. Okay. Now that's
Yeah.
intriguing. I like that.
Yeah, so I got started in this. Let's see, we'll go back to around 2009, and I had been given a task to oversee a bunch of properties that I had power of attorney over. They weren't mine. They
Okay.
were a group of investors had kind of taken these over and said, okay, we don't know what to do with these things. What can you do? And so it was my old partner and I, we thought we'd invented seller financing,
Right.
which is when you own a house and then you sell it, but not just cash, you sell it on terms. So you say,
Right.
okay, you're going to start making payments X amount a month for this many years, blah, 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 that kind of idea. So that's how we got started in it. The next year, 2010, I started buying non-performing loans, which means that people are not making any payments at all. And if you think back in the
Okay.
time, that was just during the Great Recession, there were a lot of those, a
Yeah.
lot. And so pricing was fantastic. We could get in for really cheap and be very creative on how to help people and stay in their homes and things. And it was just a ton of fun. So it really kind of by accident, but the best things in life happen by accident sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's cool. Okay, so let's dive into this because you just said something that really makes me my brain shift. Okay, so somebody's not paying their mortgage because they've
Yeah.
lost their job or whatever.
Yeah.
You come in, buy their house, and now they start making payments. How does that work?
Well, that's the fun thing. I don't actually buy the house. I just buy the mortgage. So you may have had this
Okay.
before, where you're making your payments to the bank, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you get a letter in the mail one day and it says, "Oh, by the way, you're no longer paying us. Now you're paying this other bank."
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So I'm that other bank in this case.
Okay.
So now I've
Okay.
stepped into that role, and I don't actually own the house, which is the best part in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I don't own it. I'm just own the loan, just the mortgage. And now those payments are coming to me instead of to, Bank of America, Chase, whoever you were paying before.
Right. Okay. So how does this work? Um, So does a house have to be kind of in that terrible foreclosure type process to get to start investing like this, or unpack this because this is just different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it doesn't. That's kind of the fun thing. When I got started, there were just so many of those that that's what I bought, and pricing was just ridiculously cheap. I would buy a loan on a property at, 20 cents on the dollar kind of thing. Like it was ridiculously good
Huh.
pricing. So it allowed me to make all kinds of mistakes and still be okay as I was learning how to do it. But today, in fact, I don't buy non-performing. I buy performing loans where they are making regular payments. So there's
Okay.
nothing wrong with the loan. There's no reason that, there's no distress or anything like that. It's just whoever owns the loan, whether it's an institution or an individual, they decide that they want cash today instead of cash over time. And I'm the
Ah,
opposite. I would rather have that money over time instead of having a
okay.
lump sum today.
Okay. All right. So case in point. All right. I'm gonna bring this down to Michael level. Right.
Sure.
So yeah, you got a 30-year loan, 30-year
Yeah.
mortgage, let's say,
Yeah.
and you might be 2 or 3 years into it, and that mortgage company, whoever owns it at that time, says, "We really don't want to wait 28 more years because we have other things we want to do.
Hmm.
We want to put this. Let's say it's a mortgage of, let's call it $200,000, just easy math.
Yeah.
They're going to sell it less than $200,000 because they want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So you can come in and buy it. Let's just say these are Michael numbers. Let's say you can buy it for 150,000.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you already made 50,000, but you're going to make your money now over the next 28 years because they're just transferring that loan to you, and I write my check to you now instead of the bank. Did I get it?
Right. That's exactly it. And
Okay.
then what makes it even more interesting is I I do buy it at a discount. I get some kind of,
Yeah.
something off the top. So I've, made money right there, but really because there's an interest rate attached to that, that's how banks make money is over time that interest rate goes out and out and out. And so, you think at the beginning of your mortgage, you look at your statement and it says, of your $1,000 payment, $990 goes towards interest and $10
Yeah.
towards principal. Over
Yeah.
time, that starts to shift.
Right.
And it's, now it's only 500 and 500. And then eventually it becomes, $200 to interest and 800 to principal. And so all of that interest builds on itself. And so over
Right.
time, that actually becomes a much, much bigger number. So I haven't just made the discount, I've made the discount plus all that interest over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And this is a good, what I would call a long-term investing
Mhm.
strategy that is
Right.
probably, dare I say, fairly safe, fairly risk averse. I mean,
It really is, because at the end of the day, my backup. So that this is kind of the funny thing. This is real estate, but it's not actually real estate. The real estate happens to be the collateral, but I'm not actually buying the real estate. I'm
right.
buying paper with the real estate as the collateral. So at the end of the day, if for some reason they're not making payments, we're not able to work something out. In the case, the most common thing is because they passed away. In that case, there's
Oh,
no one there to make a payment. So
right.
in that case, the structure in place is for me to go and foreclose. The
Okay.
foreclosure is just the transfer of title from whoever was owning it now over to me. So that's my ultimate backup plan is I have that in my back pocket if
Okay.
I need it. Most of the time I don't.
Yeah.
If somebody falls behind because they lost a job or something happens in their life, because I bought it at a discount, I've got all kinds of flexibility. And quite frankly, I'm better at it than a bank is.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And we can do all kinds of really, whatever. The door is wide open for us to go in and say, okay, so what can you do? Can we increase your payment by $50 a month, or do we take those arrears and tack it on the end of the loan and extend the loan, or on
Yeah.
and on and on. There's so many different options.
Wow. And no, that in and of itself is cool because
Yeah, I
fortunately
love
we've
that
never
part.
been in that situation, but I could only imagine trying to call a bank, a
Yeah,
major, and going, help, I just lost my job or whatever.
yeah,
So sorry, your payment's due in 3 days, right? Whereas you actually have, dare I say, you have a heart. You can talk and do some things. So
that's the thing. I'm a person.
you're a person. How do you help people? I mean, do you work with? Tell us about your company in outside of doing this for yourself. Obviously, do you help like entrepreneurs get involved in this, or people who want to, as I'm putting it now, own a loan, not a house?
Yeah.
How? What do you do? How do people work with you to say this is super intriguing? I like this idea because yeah, I don't. I was a landlord once in my life, and I vowed never to do it again. I was like, that is just not who I am.
Me too. Me too. I
Okay.
had the same experience. I'm like, I don't get this landlording thing.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure what the attraction is.
That's right. People tell me I got 80 properties. I'm like, praise God, go for it. I don't want anything to
Yeah.
do with it. This is
You
super
just got
intriguing.
yourself
So
a full-time job. Okay.
exactly. I already got one of those. Um,
Yeah.
how does this work with, I mean, like, who do you work with? How do you help people get involved in it? What's that even look like? This is super intriguing.
So what I do is I have an investment fund. So I'm out there offering a passive investment for people who are interested in what this is and how it works and all that. But look, you got a full-time job. You don't know how this works. There's rules around this kind of thing that it's not rocket science, but if you don't know, you don't know. And then you got to
Yeah.
learn it and then you got to figure it out. And every state's different and all those fun things. I've been doing this for more than 15 years, so I know how to do all that stuff. So the fund is there for people who want to just put their money in, get a passive investment, and just collect.
Hmm.
The other thing that we do is I don't actually do any kind of education. I don't have like a class or anything like that. What I do is once a year I host a conference called the Diversified Mortgage Expo, and we do that the first weekend in May in Nashville. And it's just a meeting place for everybody to come who's either interested in this or has been doing this forever. We poll at the beginning of the at the conference just to see who's there. And it's fascinating how equally split it is between the people who are brand new that have just barely heard of this to people who have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years and have,
Yeah.
$1 million portfolios under the belt. and everybody just comes together. We network, we talk. Anybody who's speaking is not allowed to sell anything. It's just literally just there for education, for us sharing our experience. And of course there's people there who are selling something, but nobody's doing that
Yeah.
from stage. So
Yeah.
love that.
No, that's fascinating because I think that's the other thing that I want our audiences to understand is this is not a new thing. This has
No,
been going on for years.
this literally has been around since Bible times. Like you can find verses in the Bible where it talks about buying and selling debt. It's
Yeah.
been around forever. I don't know why it's so unknown, really
Yeah.
and truly. But it is. Most people have never heard of this, and most people have no idea that this exists.
Right. Now, um, so an entrepreneur who's looking for maybe another investment, okay,
Hmm.
portfolio investment. They got stocks, they got bonds, they got 401k, whatever.
Hmm.
They like the idea and concept of real estate. They don't want to be a landlord. They go, okay, here's an interesting concept where I become really you're becoming like a bank because that's who. I was thinking as I, who owns most of the real estate in America? Well, it's the banks. They own at the end of the day because they've got the
Yeah,
mortgage, right?
yeah.
At one level. So really, you're putting yourself in that position of being the bank, and we all know banks make money on interest. It's okay. That's
That's
their
exactly it.
business.
You look around in any city, any town, you look around and see, okay, what's the tallest building? That one's got a bank logo. That one's got a bank logo. That one's got.
Yeah,
There's a reason for
absolutely.
that.
And they're on every
That's
corner. It's
what they
like I
do.
don't need another bank. Well,
Right.
they know
Right.
they know the business because they
Yeah.
understand that it's that interest, and obviously they understand things that we don't understand about getting loans and selling them and doing all that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, your local bank doesn't hold your mortgage. We bought a house last year, right? And we are within
Hmm.
like a month or two. It's like it's already done.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why do they do that? Because they want their cash to go do other things, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and and
Exactly.
and what you're doing there is you're sitting here, maybe Nathan, with your fund, going, "I'll take that," and you
Yeah.
put it in, right, and then you get people like me and entrepreneurs going, "Well, I want a piece of that, but I don't want to do all that junk." And so, okay, I'm going to take my $50,000 or whatever it is, and I'm going to put it in Nathan's fund,
Yeah.
and now I own a a portfolio of properties.
Yeah.
Is that how it is?
Yeah, you're part of the whole pool. So with your 50 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is, that goes into the pool, and then I go out and buy whatever loans, whatever mortgages I can find,
Yeah,
and then it's owned collectively,
yeah,
where all of us have a piece of that all together, and then
yeah.
everything's backed up by that real estate. You want your money out, no problem. Give me 60 days. I got to sell a couple of loans, and then I'll get your money back, and you can go and do whatever else you want to do,
Wow.
and try to make it as simple as I can.
And it's all done by an app on your phone. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
no, it's just I'm sitting here processing and thinking, going, that's interesting because not only is it, I'm going to use the word safe, right? Because it's backed up by the real estate itself, the property,
right.
but also getting into the fund. I assume you've got multiple loans that we would be buying into, so that if one happens to default or something, I mean, you got the real estate, but you've also got these other properties, so it kind of mitigates the risk. Is that
Exactly. Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. We're still raising capital. This is a relatively new fund. We're raising 5 million in this one. We're going to do another one for another 5 million. With that 5 million, we'll run roughly 100 loans in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly it. If one defaults, even a 10 default, that's actually not a big deal. We've got 90
Yeah,
others that are still making payments, plenty enough to make sure the investor still gets paid.
yeah,
I'm the one
yeah.
that actually takes on the risk and has to deal with all the fluctuation.
Yeah, well, which I thought, which was interesting because that was one of the things, you remember years ago when they had the housing market collapse and
Hmm.
values went down.
Right.
I don't know how that affects the loan because the loan is still there regardless of what your house is worth. So
Yeah.
I could see that being an issue, but because you've got multiple properties in this fund, you're still protected at some level, and it does come back. And so this is
Yeah.
just intriguing, dude.
And even with that, so anytime that I buy one of these loans, I always make sure there's a minimum 25% equity spread. So for super easy numbers, if a house is worth 100,000, the most, let's say the balance is 90.
Okay.
The most I would ever pay for that is 75,000 because I want to make sure
Okay.
there's an equity spread in there. So
Yeah.
in case of, if something goes wrong, if values drop or whatever, I've
Yeah.
got a cushion there of at least 25% where we've got room in
Yeah.
case. And,
That's
and if
smart.
that's something that we end up having to deal with at some point in the future.
That's awesome, man. This is crazy cool. Again, you read all the books, be your own banker, and all this stuff, which are
Yeah.
great books, and they've got different strategies and all that. Um, and there are a lot of passive investment real estate people where you're actually buying properties and all that. This is a different approach. This is where you can be like a bank without
Hmm.
being a landlord. You can hold the lien, not be and it's a lot. I keep coming back to the word safer. There's always risk, right?
Always risk. Yeah.
But this is a totally different way of passively investing in well, it is real estate, but it's not. it's
Right. It's
it's the
it's real
money
estate
behind the real
related.
estate, right?
Yeah, real estate related for sure.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, I think, is
Yeah.
the banks earn interest over time, really.
Right.
That's where the money's made.
Yeah.
And you're giving people the opportunity to join a consortium, a
Yeah.
portfolio at
Right.
whatever levels. Is there a minimum that people need to have before they reach out to you?
Yeah, for us it's minimum 50,000.
Okay.
I can just tell you we
Sure.
pay 8% annually.
Okay.
Currently we're set up at quarterly distributions. We're talking about moving that to monthly. We'll see.
Yeah, there
But
you go.
either way, yeah.
Yeah, but either way, so that puts you in the ballpark as a listener to go, yeah, this is not something you put $1,000 in and let it grow over time. You are in this. This is a significant investment, but it's part of a larger portfolio,
Right.
and it's a very interesting way um,
Hmm.
to create some passive income in an area that's everybody has to live somewhere, right? And do
Passive
you
income, and I'll make a plug. Like, a lot of people don't know this, that if you've got IRA funds, if you've got a solo or a 401k that maybe from an old job or something like that, you can self-direct that. You can choose where that money gets invested. This is one of those places that's a lot of our investment dollars comes from IRA funds, where people have chosen to direct their IRA funds to this
yeah,
because it's relatively safe. It's relatively,
yeah.
all those careful words that I got to say, but that's it. It's a
Well,
great
it's
place to
interesting because
grow it.
I hadn't even thought about that because I mean IRAs and different investments and things they're in like stock market portfolios that go up and down, right?
Right.
And what you get when I signed my mortgage, it's a locked
Yeah,
in rate for a long time, and
exactly.
and so you're probably avoiding a lot of that up and down. I'm guessing that's
Yeah,
interesting.
exactly. I just did a presentation a couple weeks ago on this where that's one of my favorite things is it doesn't matter what's going on in the market. Where
Yeah,
I get that question a lot, like what happens when inflation goes up and this and that and this and that. It actually doesn't matter. What I'm buying is fixed terms.
yeah,
So it's really above whatever else is going on in the market. Stocks can be doing whatever they're doing. Inflation can be doing whatever it's doing. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't really
that's
touch
right.
us at all.
That's fascinating. So many questions are running through my mind that we don't have time for. But what I want to do is give people an opportunity to connect with you, ask questions, watch webinar, whatever you. How do people find out more about this? Because you're like the Wizard of Oz guy that pulls back the curtain, right?
Yeah.
And you're in there moving all the. That's kind of what this is. Is like, okay, this is super intriguing. I need to
Yeah.
learn more. Where would they go to start learning more?
Best place to be, go to my website. It's earnestinvesting.com, and
Got it.
that's EAR, not the name, but
Okay.
the adjectives, I guess.
Like earn. I'm going to earn. So this is
Right.
earnest.
Yeah, earnestinvesting.com. And then there's more information about how this works and what I do and how I
Yeah.
can help. And then, place there to do a contact me and set an appointment. Let's chat. I'd love to
Yeah.
talk.
Absolutely. Okay. This is going to be great. I'm going to have that in the show notes so you can reach out to Nathan Turner and learn about earnest investing. Learn about how to be like a bank without being a landlord
Yeah.
and creating some passive investing for your portfolio. And Nathan, this is super intriguing. I appreciate you showing up and exposing me and my audience to this world that's really been around for a very long time, but nobody talks about it.
Right.
And so now you're talking about it and giving people a great opportunity. So thanks for being my guest. Thanks for doing what you do, and for being here
Pleasure.
on Expert Speak today.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening to Expert Speak. Tune in again next week for another great episode. Take care. God bless.